Krishna Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Total world victory of Hare Krishna. My name is Sitapati Das.
And I'm Prahlad.
And this is Bhagavad-gītā 2.54. Yeah. If you're watching this live on Facebook, feel free to tag a friend or 10 to spread the good news of the Bhagavad-gītā. And even if you're watching this on the replay, feel free to share it with someone in your life that you care about. Here we go. Bhagavad-gītā 2.54. Let's do it like this. I'll read one line of the Sanskrit and then you repeat it. Yep, this is how you learn. Arjuna uvāca.
Arjuna uvāca.
Sthita-prajñasya ka bhāṣā.
Sthita-prajñasya ka.
So listen carefully. Sthita-prajñasya ka bhāṣā.
Sthita-prajñasya ka bhāṣā.
Samādhi-sthasya keśava.
Samādhi-sthasya keśava.
Sthita-dhīḥ prabhāṣeta.
Sthita-dhīḥ prabhāṣeta.
It's sthita-dhīḥ prabhāṣeta.
Sthita-dhīḥ prabhāṣeta.
Kim āsīta vrajeta kim.
Kim āsīta vrajeta kim.
Kim means what? The type of extraterrestrial, non-human entity called a Kim Purusha. And Kim Purusha means, what kind of person is this? Purusha means a person, so Kim Purusha. What kind of person is this? Kim Purusha. Okay, Arjuna uvāca. Let's do it again.
Arjuna uvāca.
Sthita-prajñasya ka bhāṣā.
Sthita-prajñasya ka bhāṣā.
It's prajñasya. Prajñasya.
Prajñasya.
Sthita-prajñasya ka bhāṣā.
Sthita-prajñasya ka bhāṣā.
Samādhi-sthasya keśava.
Samādhi-sthasya keśava.
Sthita-dhīḥ prabhāṣeta.
Sthita-dhīḥ prabhāṣeta.
Kim āsīta vrajeta kim.
Kim āsīta vrajeta kim.
Good. Arjuna uvāca.
Arjuna said,
Sthita-prajñasya.
of one who is situated in fixed Kṛṣṇa consciousness.
Okay, you do the Sanskrit, I'll do the English.
Ka
What?
bhāṣā.
Language. You know, the language they speak in Indonesia is called bhāṣā. They call it bhāṣā, which just literally means language. And then there's like different types of bhāṣā for the different regional dialects. But yeah, bhāṣā it's called.
Samādhi-sthasya.
It's samādhi-sthasya.
Samādhi-sthasya.
Of one situated in trance.
Keśava.
The S with the line on top is a sh sound.
Keśava.
O Kṛṣṇa.
Sthita-dhīḥ.
One fixed in Kṛṣṇa consciousness.
Kim
What?
prabhāṣeta.
So the S with the dot underneath it is also a sh sound, but you actually roll your tongue further back in your mouth. So instead of sh, it's sh.
Prabhāṣeta.
Speak.
Kim
How?
āsīta.
Does remain. Like in English, sit.
Vrajeta.
Walk.
Kim.
How? See, prabhāṣeta, that means speak.
Yeah.
And this word bhāṣā means language. So pra means like going out from, away. So prabhāṣeta, speak. Language coming out. Translation. Arjuna said, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak? And what is his language? How does he sit? And how does he walk? All right. You want to do the purport? Take it away.
As there are symptoms for each and every man in terms of his particular situation, similarly, one who is in Kṛṣṇa consciousness.
No.
Oh,
Read it carefully.
one who is Kṛṣṇa consciousness.
Nope. Okay, start again from the beginning. And read it. Just read it so that you're getting it for yourself. Start from the top.
As there are symptoms of each and every man.
Nope. Try again.
As there are symptoms for each and every man. That's what I said.
No, you didn't. You said as there are symptoms of each and every man.
As there are symptoms for each and every man in terms of his particular situation. Similarly, one who is in Kṛṣṇa conscious.
Nope.
One who is Kṛṣṇa conscious has his particular nature, talking, walking, thinking, feeling, etc.
Okay, so what did you get from that?
One who is in Kṛṣṇa conscious has his nature, particular nature.
Mm-hmm. And what does that mean?
It's one who is in Kṛṣṇa consciousness can, there's a specific like way that he is, but it's not a set thing.
Does it say that there?
No.
No. It says that there are symptoms for every type of each and every man, by which we can understand every person in terms of his particular situation. Similarly, for a person in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, there is a particular set of symptoms, particular nature, talking, walking, thinking, feeling, etc. Okay, keep going.
As a rich man has his symptoms by which he is known as a rich man, as a deceased man has his symptoms by which he is known as deceased.
Diseased.
Or as a learned man has his symptoms, so a man in transcendental consciousness of Kṛṣṇa has specific symptoms in various dealings.
Okay, what did you get from that?
It's the same thing as before.
Mm-hmm. Which is what?
The man in Kṛṣṇa consciousness has a specific symptom.
Uh-huh. Okay, keep going.
One can know his specific symptoms from the Bhagavad-gītā.
So if we just look at it, if you got the same thing from the first one and the second line, sentence, what's the difference between the two of them?
Not much.
Not much, but what is it?
It just gives a bunch of examples.
Yeah, so the first sentence is a statement of the principle. And then the second one is concrete examples to illustrate the first sentence.
Mm-hmm.
So stated the principle, now I give you a couple of examples to illustrate it. See that?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a pattern that you use. So preaching, Prabhupada's preaching. He states the principle, the abstract, ideal. And then he says, it's like, for example. It doesn't start with for example, right? But it could.
Mm.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Because that's basically what that is. For example, as a rich man has his symptoms by which he is known as a rich man. As a diseased man has his symptoms by which he is known as diseased, or as a learned man has his symptoms. 3 examples. So a man in transcendental consciousness of Kṛṣṇa has specific symptoms in various dealings. One can know his specific symptoms from the Bhagavad-gītā. Keep going.
Yeah. The way that the essays, you write essays.
Mm-hmm.
What was it called again?
That.
Yeah, I know we learn it in school. It's like you start off with your arguments, and then each paragraph or after that you explain your arguments.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how that's written.
Yeah, exactly.
Most important is how the man in Kṛṣṇa consciousness speaks. For speech is the most important quality of any man. It is said that a fool is undiscovered as long as he does not speak. And certainly a well-dressed fool cannot be identified unless he speaks. But as soon as he speaks, he reveals himself at once. The immediate symptom of a Kṛṣṇa conscious man is that he speaks only of Kṛṣṇa and of matters relating to him. Other symptoms then automatically follow, as stated below.
Okay, so what did you get from that?
speech is the most important thing in how you would know someone is in Krishna consciousness.
Okay, so Prabhupada has kind of foreshadowed the answer in a sense here, hasn't he? Because the text is about the question, right?
Yeah.
But where does the clue to that lie in the question?
I don't know.
Have a look at the question that Arjuna has asked. Arjuna uvāca sthita-prajñasya ka bhāṣā. Sthita-prajñasya, a person in fixed consciousness, right? Samādhi-sthasya keśava. Sthita-prajñasya. Sthita means like, okay, situated. Prajñasya, of intelligence. Ka bhāṣā, and then samādhi-sthasya, by meditation, remaining. Like sthasya and stan are related. Pakistan. Keśava, sthita-dhīḥ. Wow, 3 times. So he says sthita-prajñasya, samādhi-sthasya, sthita-dhīḥ. Sthita-prajñasya, sthita-dhīḥ, samādhi-sthasya. So he asks, sthita-prajñasya ka bhāṣā. What is the language of the person of fixed intelligence? Samādhi-sthasya keśava. Sthita-dhīḥ kim prabhāṣeta. How does he speak? Kim āsīta. How does he sit? Vrajeta kim. How does he walk? So where's the clue in here to that? To Srila Prabhupada. Well, what's Srila Prabhupada's foreshadowing of the answer? What's he saying in there? Just to revisit that point. Okay. What is Srila Prabhupada's foreshadowing of the answer to this question in the purport?
I don't know.
Okay, read the purport again.
What?
Yeah, read it again.
As there are symptoms for each and every man in terms of his particular situation. Similarly, one who is Krishna conscious has his particular nature, talking, walking, thinking, feeling, etc. As a rich man has his symptoms by which he is known as rich, known as a rich man. As a diseased man, diseased man has his symptoms.
So this word here, you're pronouncing as deceased, but deceased, the difference between diseased and deceased is it's twofold. Deceased is deceased, rather than diseased. So it's DE rather than DI. The other thing is that deceased is spelled CEASED, ceased, cease. Now, the difference between disease and deceased, even if you make the D sound the same rather than D or D, if you make that sound the same, the difference is that the S sounds in deceased are all unvoiced, whereas diseased, the difference is you turn your vocal cords on. So listen to this. S, deceased, deceased. See? D, turn off my vocal cords. S, E, S, D. Deceased. Now listen to this. E, Z, D. Z. The difference between those two sounds and Z is it's exactly the same with the mouth and everything. One has the vocal cords turned on, one has it turned off. Deceased, diseased. Can you hear that? I just go like diseased, deceased. I have to turn my vocal cords off to pronounce deceased. Deceased, deceased, deceased. That word is diseased.
Diseased.
Yeah, diseased.
As a diseased man has his symptoms, by which he is known as diseased, or as a learned man has his symptoms, so a man in transcendental consciousness of Kṛṣṇa has specific symptoms in various dealings. One can know his specific symptoms from the Bhagavad-gītā. Most important is how the man in Kṛṣṇa consciousness speaks, for speech is the most important quality of any man. It is said that a fool is undiscovered as long as he does not speak, and certainly a well-dressed fool cannot be identified unless he speaks. But as soon as he speaks, he reveals himself at once. The immediate symptom of a Kṛṣṇa conscious man is that he speaks only of Kṛṣṇa and of matters relating to him. Other symptoms then automatically follow, as stated below.
Yeah, so what's Srila Prabhupada's foreshadowing of the answer to this question?
What is stated below?
Well, it's not really a foreshadowing of the answer, I guess. It's kind of like, if the question were, how do I identify someone who's in Kṛṣṇa consciousness? That would be a different question because, you know, that then the answer would be, right?
In the Bhagavad-gītā?
No, this part here.
Okay.
And the reason for that is, if you have a look into here, I mean, it's in both the translation and in the original Sanskrit. It's in there. Can you see what it is? Why is this? How is this here? Where does this come from? So another way of asking the question is, where does this come from? Is this something that's in this verse, or something that Srila Prabhupada has brought to the verse from somewhere else?
Probably brought to the verse.
Okay, so have a look at the verse again, right? Arjuna uvāca. Arjuna said uvāca, right? Sthita-prajñasya, fixed intelligence. Bhāṣā, what is his language? What? Bhāṣā, like bhāṣā, language. Samādhi-sthasya, keśava, samādhi-sthasya, he's fixed in samadhi. Sthita-dhīḥ, fixed intelligence. Prabhāṣeta, what prabhāṣeta is speaking? Pra meaning going out, bhāṣeta, like pra means like overflowing or going out from. Prabhāṣeta, what is his speaking? Āsīta, how does he sit? Vrajeta, how does he walk? So how is what Prabhupada says in this verse?
I don't know.
See, what Prabhupada says here is, most important is how the man in Kṛṣṇa consciousness speaks. So how is that most important is how the man in Kṛṣṇa consciousness speaks in the verse? That's the question.
Okay, he asked it first.
Not only that, what else?
The verse itself, because he's asking it.
He asks it first, but have a look at what he's asking. I don't think you're not actually listening to the question that he's asking. Like, you can see it in the English and you can definitely see it in the Sanskrit. Like, what is he asking? Here's the question. What is Arjuna asking? He's asking what?
The symptoms of one whose consciousness is merged in transcendence.
Yeah.
How does he speak? What
Yeah.
is his language? How does he sit? How does he walk?
Yeah, so he's asking how many things?
Like 4.
Okay, and what are those 4 things?
What are the symptoms? How does he speak? How does he sit? And how does he walk? That's 3.
3 things? What are the 3 things?
What are the symptoms? How does he speak? What is his language? And then how does he sit? How does he walk?
How many things is that?
It's 3.
Do it again and count them on your fingers. Say them and count them on your fingers, because I just counted 5.
Oh, it's 5 then.
Okay, how many things does he ask in Sanskrit?
Uh, 3. What language? How does remain and walk?
Is it? Have a look. So in English, you got what, who, where, how, right, as the question words.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Sanskrit, in this verse here, you have ka and kim. There's another one which is ko, which means who, but ka is what, kim is how or what. So how many questions are there in there?
4.
What are they?
What language?
Yeah, ka bhāṣā.
What speak?
Yep, kim prabhāṣeta.
How does remain?
Kim āsīta.
Walk how?
Yeah, kim vrajeta. So he's asking 4 questions, right?
Yeah.
So how many questions are there in the English translation?
And 5.
Yeah. So which is the one that's in the English translation that is not in the Sanskrit?
Symptoms.
Yeah, which is kind of like a general question, right? Whereas the other ones are specific. And they're the ones that Arjuna actually asks in the Sanskrit. Now, if we go back here, how does this come out of the verse? Given the 4 questions that Arjuna asks, right?
I just thought he got it from somewhere else.
I know, but I'm asking you now to look in the verse. So look and see, how does it come from the verse? There are 4 questions that he asks in the verse, right? Ka bhāṣā, kim prabhāṣeta, kim āsīta, vrajeta kim.
That's the one that he asked first.
Yeah, that's true. But what else?
He asked it with what?
Yeah, but interact with the questions that he's asking. Like, actually look at the questions. What's he asking him? He asks him what?
What language?
Yep.
How does remain? How walk? And what speak?
So what about those 4 questions brings this out?
What he asks about speaking and language?
Exactly. He asks it twice.
Yeah.
He says ka bhāṣā and kim prabhāṣeta. And then these other 2 here, this could be like inaction and action. But the 2 things he asks is what language does he speak and what does he say? How does he speak? So it's in here. So the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence is, it's a generalization across this whole thing, because he talks about consciousness thus merged in transcendence in 3 ways here: sthita-prajñasya, samādhi-sthasya, and sthita-dhīḥ, right? And then he asks, what's his language? How does he speak? how does he sit, and how does he walk.
Mm.
And so from there, the most important thing is how he speaks. And it's kind of like given away in the question itself. It's kind of like the questioner, it's almost like the questioner knows.
I wouldn't pick that up.
What wouldn't you pick up?
That's like two different questions. How is he speaking? What is his language?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I would think it is.
Krishna's answer to the question is like a non sequitur, you know?
Mm.
Yeah. Because Krishna's way of answering the question is not even talk about what he says, you know?
Mm.
He talks about a person who gives up all varieties of sense desire which arise from mental concoction. A person whose mind finds satisfaction in the self alone. One who's not disturbed in spite of the threefold miseries, not elated, free from attachment, fear, and anger, not elated when there's happiness. It's called a sage of steady mind, sthita-dhīḥ. Yeah.
If you ask someone, oh, how do you speak?
Mm-hmm.
They're probably not gonna. They'll start saying like, oh, I speak casually or something.
Yeah.
And then you ask like, oh, what language do you speak? They'll be like, oh, English.
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna say, oh, English, and I speak casually. Something like that. So when you ask, oh, speech and language are those two different things.
Yeah, but they're definitely in the same domain. Like sitting and walking are like, you could say action and inaction. And then speaking, okay, and language, speaking and language, that's the same domain. Even look at the words. See, look at them. Bhāṣā and prabhāṣeta. You can see, it's the same word here. Bhāṣā and prabhāṣeta. What? Brilliance by the luster, by the splendor, indication, the bhāṣā. Bhāṣya means like a commentary. Look at this. In simple language, bhāṣā, language. Bhāṣavit, the knower of languages. So there's a difference between bhāṣā and bhāṣā. So it looks like, this thing that automatically pulls in the bhāṣya.
Or the little lines and dots and stuff are different.
It's not working on the diacritics, right? The dot underneath, it's pulling in all of them. I wonder if we can do this. We should be able to do this. Bhāṣya. Commentary. See? Make a comment. So bhāṣā means language. Bhāṣya means a commentary.
Mm-hmm.
And prabhāṣeta means to speak. Let's see if there's a prabhāṣa or a prabhāṣya. So if we go synonyms P/prabhāṣa. Nuked the B in there. Oh, no such thing. Oh, okay. Prabhāṣya, addressing or giving his statement. So you see that like bhāṣya means like a commentary and prabhāṣya means like giving your statement, right? So bhāṣa means language and prabhāṣa means speaking, giving language, giving his statement. And then I'm not sure what this suffix here makes it different. Prabhāṣeta. Anyway, it's an Indo-European language, so it's like it's intelligible even to speakers of English.
Mm.
It has suffixes, prefixes that modify. It's like
Yeah.
I mean, even in English, the prefix pro or even prefix means to put on before, right?
Mm.
Pro means like for something. So I'd say that the Sanskrit pra and the English pro, which comes from, if we look up the etymology of pro and for, see forward, forth, toward the front, beforehand, in advance, pro, on behalf of, in place of, before, in exchange for, pro, before. So prabhāṣa means like language going out in front, overflowing, like your name Prahlad. It means one who gives joy to others, and the sense is hlad means joy, and pra means like overflowing or going out. Okay, should we have a look at the changes, huh? So, you want to go over these?
Sure.
Yeah.
So they've changed. Arjuna said, "What are the symptoms?" to Arjuna said, "O Kṛṣṇa, what are the symptoms?"
So that comes from keśava, right? So in here you can see it says samādhi-sthasya keśava.
Yeah.
Or keśava. But let's have a look at Prabhupada's original. Nope, it doesn't have Kṛṣṇa in there. And here, it was done at a later date. So it wasn't done in the A3 edition. Yep, okay. Not closer to Prabhupada. Better than Prabhupada. Okay, next.
They've decapitalized Transcendence.
Yeah, that's applying a style guide across the whole thing, right? Like, oh, we've decided that our style will be this. Okay.
I don't know why it would be capitalized in the first place.
Let's have a look at Prabhupada's. What are the symptoms of such transcendentally fixed consciousness? How do they speak? And what their language? How do they remain? And how do they walk? How do they remain? And how do they walk? So it wasn't capitalized by Srila Prabhupada in here, and he didn't even use transcendence. He said transcendentally fixed consciousness, which, if we have a look, let's have a look at his word for words. Sthita-prajñasya, of one who is situated in fixed Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Samādhi-sthasya, one situated in trance, fixed in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Fixed Kṛṣṇa consciousness, situated in trance, fixed in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Yeah, so then this transcendence and the capitalization of transcendence is a Hayagriva edit. And so he would have capitalized it, or they would have capitalized it at the time, because anything divine, divinity. And then as times have changed and God has become less highly regarded, it's decapitalized. Yeah.
They've removed a comma after symptoms, which
makes sense to me. That comma is not. Yeah, so yeah, that makes sense to remove that. You could have it or not have it. It slightly changes the meaning, because when it says without the comma in the second edition, as a diseased man has his symptoms by which he is known as diseased, it means that the by which he is known as diseased is a modifier on the symptoms. So it means he has symptoms by which he's known as disease, and he has symptoms for other things too, right? Whereas in the first edition with the comma there, it says the diseased man has his symptoms. And his symptoms are by which he's known as diseased. So it means that his complete set of symptoms, and then the next part is a description of them. Whereas in the first one, in the second edition, it's a modifier on those symptoms. And if you have a look at it, it says, as a rich man has his symptoms by which he is known as a rich man. There's no comma there, right?
No.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's like did it need to be done? Probably not. I mean, if your goal was to make the absolute minimum amount of changes, you wouldn't do that. Yeah.
And the next change, is it a semicolon?
Yeah.
They've changed their comma to a semicolon, which a semicolon usually denotes a list.
Yeah, it can. It can also denote an independent clause. Yeah.
But yeah, it's sort of the same change. Not really much of a difference.
Yeah. If your modus operandi was to make the minimum amount of changes possible, you would have left it. Yeah. Yeah. Look, no semicolon.
Prabhupada never used any punctuation in his purports.
What? He never used any punctuation in his purports?
No.
What do you mean?
Look at it. All the punctuation is being scribbled in by the editor.
He's got like full stops in there.
Those full stops are being dotted in.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah, look here, you can see there's a full stop and a space.
Oh. But doesn't use any punctuation except full stops. Is all the commas always drawn in.
Okay, interesting. I didn't notice that. He's not big on the comma.
I just thought all the full stops were dotted in afterwards. But I guess not.
I don't think so, because they're all consistently this big kind of thing, right? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the comma key was broken on the typewriter. Who knows? Maybe it's just not a style. Interesting. So those changes were done after the 83 revision. Okay, you got a contemporary application of this.
Contemporary application.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of people also saw, even nowadays, searching for the same sort of question. Looking for, how does one achieve enlightenment? I know there's a lot of like YouTube videos and stuff about that.
Really?
Yeah.
The kids these days are talking about how to achieve enlightenment.
Well, not like the kids these days, but there's just a lot of stuff about that. A lot of groups. I don't know any specifics, but I know there are a few. Yeah, and so they'll be looking for like, oh, what does enlightenment mean? It's a lot of books on like yoga and meditation, achieving enlightenment. And so as I've said, Arjuna is sort of a representation of the layman, the average everyday person. And so yeah, him asking this question is sort of what everyone's looking for nowadays, because that's what everyone really wants to achieve. And you could change like one whose consciousness is merged in transcendence with basically anything, one who has a lot of money or has a lot of cars and stuff. How does he speak? What is his language? How does he sit? How does he walk? So there's a lot of like financial gurus. I know there are a few that their whole sort of business is doing financial seminars, like what's that guy's name?
Robert Kiyosaki.
And Business Blueprint guy.
Dale Beaumont.
Not the Business Blueprint.
Ray Kerwin Ray. Is he Australian American? Where's he from?
It's like Tony
Robbins.
Tony Robbins. There we go. Yeah, stuff like that.
Mindset. His thing's more about mindset, right?
Yeah. So how does he speak? What is his language? How does he sit? How does he walk?
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of like, when people are looking to achieve something that someone else has achieved, they will always basically ask those questions to try and get understanding of how they can do it themselves.
Yeah, but the kind of like imitating the externalities is not the way to develop the same result, though, right?
Yeah, and
he drives a Lamborghini. Oh, I'll drive a Lamborghini. It's like, I'll get one. Like, what was that guy's name who did the knowledge? That guy. What's his name?
I don't know.
You remember the guy?
Yeah,
he had the books.
Bookshelves.
I keep mixing him up with Tay Zonde, but it's not.
No, his name is. I've forgotten, but he's also another guy who does that sort of stuff. Knowledge. I just got this brand new Lamborghini.
But you know what's more I like better than the thing? It's knowledge.
There he is.
Yeah, 7 years ago.
Ty
Lopez. That's his name, Ty Lopez. Yeah. What's he up to now? He has 2.34 million subscribers on. Okay, how to build let's pull this up. How to build a $100 million company using social media. Talking with Dan Fleshyman, an investor, partner, consultant, advisor to over 20 multi-million dollar businesses. Yeah, I mean, Joe Rogan, Patrick Bet-Davis on Valuetainment. He's another one, right? They interview people. You know who else? You know who is really big on that is Tim Ferriss, right? What was Tim Ferriss's book called? Titans. This guy here, Tim Ferriss, Tools of Titans. The tactics, routines, and habits of billionaires, icons, and world-class performers. Right, and so he interviewed,
Yeah, and so those sort of things are pretty popular.
Yeah.
People are looking for the how he speaks, walks, talks, and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So they're even though they're kind of like their goal is different, like they want what has already been dismissed previously as the flowery language of the Vedas and the Karmakanda and the material results and stuff. The process is pretty much the same, right? It's understanding people who model like success. One saying is success leaves clues.
And maybe that's why in the next verse Kṛṣṇa doesn't answer the question directly, but says something else.
I know it's like a riddle, right?
Yeah.
Kind of it's like it's or like a koan or something. It's not the answer that he thought he was going to give, I thought he was going to give a description of like how he talks and stuff, but he doesn't. He talks about his internal mental world or his relationship consciousness. That's a great example, yeah. Great contemporary application. And so, I mean, we can look at these kind of things and see the principle is there. And, is he going to give us this? But it becomes, how do you do that? How do you give up all varieties for sense desire, That is the whole thing of the Bhagavad-gītā, which goes from there. It's like, well, how do you do that? It's easy to say, but how do you do that? Great. Anything else?
My favorite one of the sort of financial gurus is a guy, and he does this thing called business in a Bentley.
Business in a Bentley.
Yeah, where he's in a Bentley. I think that's what it's called.
In a Bentley car,
huh? What's it called? I've forgotten, but he does financial advice in a
Okay.
Bentley. Maybe get rid of the business in. Is a Bentley financial advice.
Okay. Let's try it on YouTube. Okay, business in a Bentley.
His name might be Andrew Chang.
And his name's Andrew?
Think.
No, we can't find it. Bentley Financial?
Nah.
And it's on YouTube?
Yeah, if you scroll up,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you go too far. Yeah. To where the shorts are. What's that guy's name? Dan. The far left.
This guy?
Yeah, there's three of them.
Dan Pena. Okay. Dan Pena, is that the guy?
Nah, there's three of them. They all hang out with each other.
Okay. Okay. I've never seen or heard of this guy.
You haven't heard of
before.
him?
This guy?
He is maybe don't play it.
Okay.
He
Look at his face.
the
Look at
way
his face.
the way that he does his financial guruing
Yeah.
is that he gets everyone in a castle that he owns for a seminar. And he
Okay.
just yells at them and swears at them.
Dangerous fake billionaire gets caught.
He just yells and swears at them, and he just like
Okay.
bullies them. People love it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Is he actually successful?
He gets his money by doing those seminars.
Right.
And then the people does another seminar, and then after a few seminars, they're like, okay, if you get people to my seminars, you'll get like a bonus like fee.
I see. Okay, he sounds like he's entertaining. But it sounds more like entertainment than actual.
Yeah, and so it really reminds me of that, because their whole stick is selling the how people speak, walk, talk, to get rich.
And that's how you get rich, by
Yeah.
selling that.
By telling people, yep,
Right.
I know how to get rich, and I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, and that was Tai Lopez's whole thing, right? It was
Yeah.
a course about how to get it's kind of like, here's my course about how I, made $1 million on social media, and it was by selling a course on social media how to make $1 million,
Yeah.
right?
And then other people are like, oh, yeah. And then like I've seen like a video where
And it's like you do it by becoming an affiliate of my program, right? And selling my course.
yeah, because all three of these guys, him, the other guy, and the guy in the Bentley, all three of them are like graduates of another guy seminar who does how to make like a lot of money, and all three of them hang out with each other. They cross-contaminate their like clients and stuff. And so it's all sort of pyramid shaped.
The yoga business. Yeah, I mean the guru business, the yoga business, it can be a similar kind of thing, That's the problem of anything when it becomes like organized or institutionalized, is that can happen.
Yeah. That's what I gotta say.
Okay.
Application.
Yeah, great. Go back to the verse to finish, eh? Bhagavad-gītā 2.54 Arjuna uvāca sthita-prajñasya bhāṣā samādhi-sthasya keśava sthita-dhīḥ prabhāṣeta āsīta vrajeta kim. There's like real just like nectar and churning the Sanskrit itself. It's actually not a difficult language. It'll be a difficult language to learn how to speak it and compose things in it, because it has declensions and all that kind of stuff. that don't exist in English. It has masculine, feminine, and neuter, you know?
Mm.
But you can't, it's not unintelligible. And the Bhagavad-gītā, the Sanskrit used in Bhagavad-gītā is real simple. And like just contemplating this verse, sthita-prajñasya, samādhi-sthasya, sthita-dhīḥ, right?
Mhm.
The first three lines all start with the same concept. And then bhāṣā, and then keśava in the second one. Kim prabhāṣeta, kim āsīta, vrajeta kim. You want to read the translation to roll us out?
Arjuna said, "What are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak? And what is his language? How does he sit and how does he walk?"
Jai Param Vijayate Sri Kṛṣṇa Sankirtanam, total world victory of Hare Krishna. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. And I will see you guys tomorrow.
You're doing the class tomorrow?
Yep.
Epic. Haribol.
Very well.